What do you make of that move to make it tougher, I suppose, for job seekers at the moment to get back into the market?
Well, Pete, we're sort of running a two-speed economy at the moment, and you can see that in the job numbers from yesterday. You're seeing the rest of the country recover apart from Victoria. So there is slow recovery occurring. We've got back half of the jobs in the past 3 months that we lost through March, April and May. So that's a positive sign. A lot of those are part-time jobs, though, and what we're seeing is clear signs that people are sort of striking out on their own, being much more entrepreneurial, might not be able to pick up work elsewhere, so they're trying their luck on their own. So they're coming off the unemployment queues that way. So, look, we have to get off JobKeeper at some point. I think we all recognise that, and the quicker we do it, the better. But although those were really promising figures yesterday, I've got to say the next 6 months are going to be pretty tough as we wean ourselves off JobKeeper. So we might be in for a rough ride here, but people do have to start trying to find their way back into the workforce, and employers need to start to be able to find ways to employ again. So
do you think, Innes, that yesterday's numbers might be something of a false dawn, that things could worsen again?
I'd put it this way, they're a crack of light among a lot of dark cloud, and there was a good result. It surprised everyone, but a lot of that is part-time work. It was sort of 70% of the jobs growth in August was part-time work. And we're seeing the hours of work are down. That means productivity's down, output's down. But the next few months are going to be tough as we come off JobKeeper. New South Wales is driving a lot of the economic recovery at the moment. They've recovered 70% of their jobs. West Australia, with their border closures, are a different kettle of fish. Our members over there are screaming about skill shortages, not being able to get people in or out. So that's a different scenario altogether. And Victoria's only recovered 5% of their jobs that they lost in those first 3 months. And that was even before you take the September lockdown into effect. And all the stories and anecdotes are that Victoria's gone further backwards in September, so that the gap widened.
Well, you brought up Queensland there, and this was interesting yesterday. The Treasurer, he was kind of crowing about those numbers and taking that good news. And you know, it was good news that the unemployment rate has backed off a bit. But he did say, and he identified the states with the biggest drop in unemployment are the ones with the hardest borders. So he said Queensland, WA and the Northern Territory. What do you make of that comment? Is it true, or is that a bit misleading? Because I've looked at things, in Queensland still, I think, the highest or the second highest level of unemployment.
Yeah, Queensland, I think it's 7.4% unemployment. It's quite high. And a lot of the jobs that were created there were in that part-time cohort. Now, I saw a number that they had, barely any full-time jobs created in the last month in Queensland. And that goes to tell you that a lot of that economy is in pain. Tourism is a big part of the Queensland economy, and that's pretty much shut down except for Queenslanders to move around. Queensland is a different kettle of fish, and I think you're starting to see some pain points emerge there through border closures. And the quicker that the state can open its borders, the better, and get people moving. We're not really going to recover economically, Pete, until we get people movement, labour mobility, population growth coming back, and all of those key elements. And until then, we'll sort of be treading water. And Queensland is probably going to be sort of a bit of a petri dish around looking at how that plays out in the months ahead.
And when you're looking at industrial relations, what sort of flexibility do you think is going to be required moving forward?
Well, there's a couple of areas in IR, there's tax, there's regulation. All of those are going to be needed. IR has been, and the changes that were got through by employers working with unions supported by government, I think have played a big part in the recovery that we've seen. They've given employers the confidence, increasing confidence to hire again. That gives us a bit of a roadmap forward. We do need more flexibility into the IR system. We're working that through with government and unions at the moment around what it looks like going forward. There's a few potholes that we have to get through and work our way through. But the concept of a more flexible IR system is at the heart of our recovery. If we go back to being a rigid system, it will discourage employers from hiring, and that's the last thing we want. We'll be stuck with this for a long time to come.